Hey guys, so today we're going to continue working on the top rack. In my previous video, you can click the link up there. I replaced the big bar, crossbar with a more aerodynamic minivan type bar. It's probably a little bit less rugged, but it makes a lot less wind noise. I mean, I can't hear anything at all, so that worked out great. You could click the link up there if you want to see that video. But today, we're going to put on a new cargo rack, and if you're wondering what it used to look like, it looks like this. All right, so that's the way it used to look, and you can see it's a little bit small, a little bit undersized for the size of the van. But what I want to do is I want to put it on a bigger rack and then put my solar panels back in. And I want to be able to add more things. One of the things I wanted to do for this build is to put an outdoor shower. So I'm going to build in the water container into that too, but that's a later time. But I have this rack right here. Basically the cheapest rack I could find. It's made by 7blacksmiths.com, and you could click on the link in the description if you're interested in this rack. So it's basically the cheapest on Amazon I could find, and it's I can't remember the exact size, but anyways, it's definitely bigger than my old one, and we'll open it up and install it. Alright, so I took it out of the packaging, and this is the way it looks. Basically, it comes in four main pieces: the back, these two for the extension, and the front. So you could actually make it a little bit smaller by not putting in the middle, and that would be the size of my previous rack. It is about the size of this without the middle. So now I'm going to gain about that much space, and here is the one-page instructions. Not too much instructions, but I think it'll be self-explanatory. You just put things together and clamp it in, but we'll figure it out as we go along. I forgot to mention, it's not only bigger than my previous rack by this much, it's also wider than my previous rack too. Alright, so each of these joints will slide in like this, and for the four sides, it has also this plate that you put in, and then you put on these bolts, this bolt and this washer, bolt, washer, and the nut. And for the middle of these two, you slide it in with these. Pretty self-explanatory. But one of the things that the review said about these types of racks is that water gets into these joints and rust starts to form over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of silicone caulking just before I slide everything in, so that it'll be a little bit more watertight. Okay, so if you take a close-up, you can see these joints are not super flush or anything like that. So I'm gonna just fill up a little bit more caulk as I go around, and same thing for all the joints. You know, maybe you get what you pay for, but this was the cheapest rack I could find, and the joints are not perfect, but I'm gonna fill up the hole so that water doesn't get in. But strength-wise, I think it's gonna be just fine. All right, so I got the silicone on all the joints. Now I'm gonna slide this guy in. Then I'm gonna bolt them all down. All right. probably should have left that glove on because I'm getting some caulking on my hand. So I'm gonna get another glove. I'm gonna put all the bolts in and I'm gonna tighten them all around. All right, so I got all the sides up, and now I'm gonna need to put on the mounts onto the rails itself and then mount it up. All right, so I gotta get that up so that I know where to put the mounts so it lines up with the crossbars. Okay, so up top, you'll see that to line up the bars in the middle where these things clamp on, your crossbars may not be lined up exactly to it. For instance, mine is not. So if you look back here, it's definitely not aligned. I need to move the crossbars a little bit so that it falls within this middle slot, because that's where the clamp goes down. So I'm gonna need to unscrew this and then just move it over a little bit so that things line up. So now I got the crossbars aligned within the slot. I could go ahead and clamp it down. All right, so now that things are lined up, I'm gonna put on these clamps. And these clamps, this guy goes on top, and this guy goes underneath onto the rail. It looks like it barely covers. I don't know if you could see. So it's just barely there, but once it tightens up, it'll lift up, and then it should be fine. All right, with these types of U-clamps, you want to try to clamp them evenly. You don't want to do one side super tight and then the other side's loose and then tighten it up. You want to kind of evenly tighten it as you're going. Yep, it's lifting up off the car really nicely, so there's a good gap. These things, you know, they're screwing on pretty easily. I'm just doing it slowly. Making sure they're even. And that's it. I'm going to do it to all four of them. All right, so that's what it looks like from up top. I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the view from back here. Yep, it's definitely bigger than the old one and it fills it out much better.